What's going on, YouTube? Q back here again with another video for you, and I gotta talk over this person with the leaf blower. It's freezing out here, and this dude out here with a leaf blower for like the last 20 minutes. But I'm just go on because I got somewhere to go. So today's video, I'm gonna talk about all the cars that I've owned. So it's a long list. I'm gonna go through this list quite quickly because I don't want to spend too much time on the car. I might give one or two little tidbits on each car, what I like, what I didn't like, depending on the car, because some of the cars I had were just not worth talking about. So it's you can buy my cars and my wife's cars. It's about 30 cars, but for me alone, I think I got like 23 cars in total. So I'm about to talk about that, and at the very end I'm going to say which of the cars were my top 5 that I like, and I'm going to rank them in that order from 5 to 1. So buckle your seatbelts, get some popcorn. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, I invite you to subscribe. But if you've been here before, my loyal subscribers, like and comment down below. Don't forget to browse the channel. Let's jump into today's video. So I'm going to get my wife's cars out the way. She had 2 Blazers, 2 older Honda Civics, 2 Grand Cherokees, Charger RT, Mercury Milan, and I think she had a Chevy Impala. Alright, now that that's done. So, and that's not in any particular order. My car is going to be in chronological order from my first until the most recent. So let me look at my list right here. Alright, glad that leaf blower stopped. So, very first car, and I only have one picture, and it's going to be my first and second car. Very first car, got it at auction for like $1,500. 1997 Ford Taurus GL. My first car, fell in love with the car. This time I was into subwoofers and stuff, used to install my own radios and stuff, and I got that on this car, and had a love-hate thing. Got into an accident as a high schooler. Somebody T-boned me. Kind of both of our faults, but it was a girl involved. It wasn't my fault looking at the girl like I had one. But so yeah, he was looking at the girl trying to show off. Ran into my car and T-boned me on the side street. So after that, couldn't stand the car. My parents told me, and this was when I was in high school, I got that car, and they told me at one point, like, yo, you're going to college, you're not taking the car there. And my cousin offered to buy the car. I'm like, all right, go ahead, sell it. So gave that car out to my cousin, and that's why they're both in the driveway in the picture. And they said they would give me something better. So when they meant better, they got me a 98 Escort, which is not better in any way, shape, or form to me. It's more economical, but gas was like $1 something back then, so I wouldn't notice that. 98 Escort, smaller, very lightweight, got blue. When the wind was blowing really hard, it would blow me out of lanes. And both of these cars were reliable. Most of my cars have been. Bought this car down the street at a tire shop for like $1,000. Had 151,000 miles when I got it, and it lasted for a long time. So I sold it to my best friend, and he drove it around. I saw it a couple years ago still. Good car, nothing exciting. Third car, I got this after I graduated college, and I got my first job as an engineer, but I wasn't an engineer, making $12 an hour as an engineer. But I got a 2006 Chevy Impala, and this is the car. I had this car for a while. This was before I was in and out of cars. My first 2 cars, it was a span of like 4 or 5 years. This car I had for a few years as well. Bought it with 97,000 miles. Or no, 87,000. My dad picked it up at an auction for me while I was in New York City doing some work there. So he bought it. He bought it for me, and I paid him for it. So when I got back home from that job, that was my car. The windows tinted, installed a touchscreen radio. I didn't put subwoofers in there, but I had a TV in the dash. That was the thing at the time. This was like around 2009, so that was the thing to do. Kept this car, sold it to a family member. Very reliable car. Didn't have any problems but a water pump and an oil leak, and very good car. Fourth car, and this it's where things start to, this was the beginning of the end to me. Like, I normally kept my cars for years, but this is when things started to go south or north for me. It's a good thing for me to get in and out of cars. But 2012 Mustang, automatic V6. I bought this thing almost brand new. It just had like maybe 6,000 miles on it. Had the 19 GT Premium Plus wheels on there. Only thing, I put some Boss 302 stripes on there. I was perping. I didn't know. It was a sin I committed. But that car was very fun. But during my ownership of this car, I learned how to drive a manual. And after that, I just had to have a manual. And this is where things start to get crazy for me. So I ended up trading that in. I didn't lose any money on this one. I sold that for a 2008 manual Ford Fusion, 5-speed manual with that. This thing was clean, pristine, Ford Fusion SE. Learned how to drive a manual. Good time, 4-cylinder, efficient. First year only went to like 16 miles an hour. Had my fun with that. This is where I got comfortable with the manual. I might have kept this car for like a year until I sold it. But then I was at a place where I wanted a car with power too. And my favorite car at the time was a Pontiac G8 GT. And I found one of those for like $19,000 from the owner of a CNC shop. So I bought that from him. It had a couple mods to it. X-pipe, drone like crazy, so I put some solo axle backs on there. And this is the first car that I really modified. I did a cold air intake. I got tuned by liver noise, and that really woke the car up. And that was a good car. Fun time. Went to my first car meet in the G8 GT, but then I wanted a manual, so got rid of that like 6 months later. After the G8 GT, got the 2004 Acura TL, the 6-speed manual. Picked that up at a dealership. It was a one-owner car. Had a little bit of rust, but it was solid. Like the Honda shifter, very solid. I like this car. Did a couple mods to it, to where I had a weighted shifter. I did something with the radio. It must have been like a Bluetooth mod because I love my music. Did that, did some LED interior lightings, just minor things. And then this car had problems. When I bought the car, they had just took it in on trade-in, had a little bit of issues with the steering, got check engine light, traction control, all that stuff came on. Took it back, they fixed it for free. And then one day I was driving home from work. It's regular driving, I hear and ting 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 ting. So I wanted a spark plug, shut out the engine, and I had to get it fixed with the helicoil. After that, I didn't want the car anymore. I saw the check engine light come on. Normally, most of my cars have had check engine lights up to this point. All of my used cars, mine is like the Mustang and the G8. And I just drove with the check engine light on. But foreign cars, they get a check engine light, you check that out immediately. But yeah, this car, check engine light came on the way to work. Went to work, drove home. Boom, shot out the engine block. I had to get the helicoil to fix that, or threaded in the engine block. No longer wanted the car. And yeah, got rid of it. So after that happened, I'm like, I want something more reliable, something more modern. So I went up to a 2010 Ford Fusion, again, with the 6-speed manual. This car is fun. I did a couple mods to this as well. The shifter in this one sucked. Ford didn't make good shifters at this time. Like the new Mustang is probably the best shifter that they have had. The rest of them suck. Like before this 6th generation Mustang. But yeah, I did like an engine mount thing to where it would shift smoother, because that car, when you shift in the gear, it was like lurching a lot. So that mod really helped out with that. And it was good on gas. I think my daughter was born around this time, so I had reliable transportation. This is around the time my wife got her Charger as well. Nothing to write home about with that car. And then, this is my first time I really splurged on a car. Up to this point, I'm like, 15,000, 10, 12, 15,000, my absolute max. And then I just pushed myself all the way up to 30,000. I bought, at the time, my dream car. It's a 2012 Audi A5, 6-speed manual. And this car is my first German car, and I learned a lot about German cars during this time period. The maintenance on these things. Rotors were expensive, fuel pump failed on me, and this car is only a handful of years old, like just outside of warranty. German cars and warranties, it's true what they say about those. Don't own one out of warranty. What else failed? My seat stopped going forward and backwards. Had to get the engine rebuilt because it burned too much oil, but they did that free under warranty. And with all that, it was like $6,000 to $8,000 worth of repairs in my ownership. Warranty covered most of that, but it's just too much for a car that I didn't even have a whole year, and it had a lot, and it was in the shop a lot too, so can't be doing that. And while I had the A5, I bought another manual, and this time it was a pickup truck, my first and only pickup truck, a 1990 Nissan Pickup's the name of it. They called it, what do they call it, the D-body, hard body pickup. Good solid truck, had the inline 4, very smooth, the longest throws ever in any shifter. It hauled stuff around for me. It was just one bench seat in the front, and I did that to do like my yard work and stuff around the house with at that time. It was fun to me. And then I took it to like get it all the repairs. They're like, yeah, the frame is rotted out. So the frame was so rusted out that they wouldn't even repair it. So yeah, they was like, we can't even put it on the lift because we're scared it'll snap the truck in half. So I'm like, oh, I think I'll sell it at this point. So sold that truck to somebody who turned it into a lowrider. Haven't seen it since, but told him about the frame issue. He's like, that's no problem, we'll get it welded back together. And now it's a lowrider somewhere. And at this point, this is where I bought my first new car. I traded in the 2012 Audi A5 for a 2016 Mazda 3 hatchback, 6-speed manual. And this was the poverty spec, it had no options. This was the sport line, but it was a good car, very fuel efficient. I wish I would have spent more time with that car because I can enjoy that car more at the limits. And I'm a huge fan of Mazda, but I really wanted the 6 though. So I kept this car for quite a bit of time. Good car, missed that car. And I planned on modding it, but I'm like, no, it's just a base model. And then I had a bigger revision down the line, so we'll jump into those cars. Once I moved here, I also bought a 1990 BMW 535i. That is still in my possession. It's actually in the shop right now, getting a new throwout bearing put on. And this car has been pretty reliable, but it's an old car, and I've been neglecting the car like crazy. So did a couple. This is the car I've actually owned for the longest. I own that car for about 5 years now. I never drive it. It just stays parked because I don't like maintaining cars, but it's very fun. And the steering wheel has a lot of play in it. The car has a lot of character. The shifter is sloppy. I don't know, it's just a good car to drive. Like, it drove smoother than my new Audi, so I had those two at the same time as well. I like the inline 6. It's torquey, smooth, and for the most part, it didn't have any problems with it, minus these clutch and shifter issues. So, I like the car. I'll probably bring it back to life one day, but yeah, it's in the shop right now. Maybe I'll put it in the video, but I don't think it will. It's not worth the time to me. What did I do for this car? So this is when my wife had her Escape. What did I sell? Oh, traded in the Mazda3. I'm like, I think I want to start road tripping. Bought a brand new 2016 Ford Flex. Got $10,000 in rebates. It was like the SEL, so I got a bunch of options. Good family car. The next day after I bought it, I took it on a road trip, which you shouldn't do, but I did anyway. But good car, great family car. Really got a soft spot in my heart for the Ford Flex. Kept it for like 2 years, almost 3 years. And then we traded that in for my wife's Blazer. But Flex, highly recommended for a family vehicle. And also while having the Flex, I bought 2070 6-speed manual Infiniti G35S. The S is for swag, but that was one of my favorite cars right there. The G35, the Infiniti with the VQ engine. It revved, it was fast for modern standards. Had a couple of options. Actually didn't, I got a poverty spec. I ended up getting one without heated seats. So I bought this car. It was a rental car. I didn't even know they rented out cars like this. Bought it from a divorced woman. She moved from California to here, and she was 4 hours north of me here. So I drove up there, and the car was very scratched up, and it had a couple dents that didn't show up in pictures. But I'm like, I drove 4 hours to get here and rented the car in the process. I bought the car because it was mechanically sound, and Had a lot of fun with that car as well. I had big plans for that, doing some muffler deletes, new wheels, which I didn't get around to doing. I ended up selling that car, and unfortunately, shortly after I sold it, the clutch went out on that owner, because this car had the clutch replaced at 40,000 miles. I bought the car at like 120,000 miles, and the previous owner, she was terrible at driving. Very nice woman, but couldn't drive. That's why I had all the scratches on it. But yeah, got in and out of that car. I kept it for like over a year. When I was doing my real estate, that was kind of like my work car at the same time. So, solid car. I really wanted the G37 though. That's where my heart was at, but I saw somebody selling one. You wanted like 16 grand when the market was like 12. I'm like, dude, no way. The next car, so I sold that to a private party, and I bought another car in a private party because I like my German cars. I got a love-hate thing. I just like them at a distance, but they, on the maintenance side, they are not that good to me. Excellent driving machines though. 2001 E39 M5, and that car is still pretty quick. Nice options, had window shades on the back window, the sides, heated seats. Had a lot of modern options for it, and it was fast too, like even to today's standards. 400 horsepower, like I was keeping up with Chargers. Faded it in, I saw some issues starting to pop up, like it was raining hard and my intermittent wipers didn't turn on. Got dangerous to drive, and then one day the sensors that tell you how fast you're going, that stopped working, so the traction control didn't work, and I couldn't tell how fast I was going, along with the windshield wiper problem. I'm like, alright, it's enough of this German crap. I need something reliable. So traded that in on a Black Friday. Got a used 2013 Scion FRS, which I thought would be reliable. So it had like suspension mods to it, so it was a little stiff, but I didn't know in detail of the history. The Carfax was pretty clean, had a scratch on the bumper, but it wasn't bad. But when I took it, so the engine blew up on the way home. Didn't even make it home. I was right down the street from my house, engine blew up. I had to pay out of pocket, as is no warranty. Made a video about that. Depressing time of my life. And this is when I started buying new cars after that. But after I got the engine put in there, the FRS is an amazing car. Got a lot of respect for those. Had a ton of fun in it. But this is why I'm nearing on Subaru, because that boxer engine, and it was a known problem. And the recall came out after this happened. So I'm going back and forth with Toyota and the dealership like, yo, somebody needs to pay for this. It's a recall for, forgot, it was some spring in the engine which could cause engine failure, but the dealership worded it in a way, they said I was double clutching. I don't even know how to double clutch to this day, and this was like 3-4 years ago. They said I abused it. They said I should never rev a car past 4,000 RPM. The car had like a 72,000 or 7,200 RPM red line, and that's just not true. This car revs at 8,250, so that was BS. Very mad at that dealership, but very fun car outside of that, and had oil leaks after I got it fixed. It was just a whole ordeal. I'm like, I just got tired of looking at the car, because every time I thought it was good, something else popped up, and I was always skeptical because they had to replace that engine with the same engine. I'm like, what's to stop it from doing the same thing again? And they didn't honor the recall. They're like, oh, since the dealership worded it this way, we have to go by that. And I saw that it had timing chain issues as well, and it had the type of engine where if the timing chain goes out, the engine will self-destruct. And I don't know what happened. I let their mechanics figure it out. I thought they were going to fix it for free, but yeah, that cost a lot of thousands of dollars. Probably like $7,000-8,000 for that engine. Didn't like that at all. So after this, new cars. Traded that in, got my 2019 Mustang GT, base model, black appearance package, 19-inch wheels, dual mode exhaust, fun car. And these two cars, the Scion FRS and the Mustang GT, that's what I started this channel off of. I got one video with the Scion and a couple videos with the Mustang. I had another channel before this, so I had more Mustang videos, but I just brought those over here. And Mustang GT, fun car. Started modding again, getting lots of attention, and I'm like, all right, let me do this YouTube thing a little more seriously. But then everything I wanted to do, since it was a base model, I'm like, I could have just bought one with everything I wanted. So after that, Had a year, it wasn't even a year, 6 months with that car. Traded that in. I saw an advertisement. If you trade in your Mustang to a Chevy dealership or a Camaro, you get an extra $3,000 rebate. I'm like, I just don't want a regular Camaro though, because they're so similar. Oh, Mustang Camaro behind me. Yeah. So I'm like, let me get something that's a little bit more than the SS, something I can just enjoy out the box. 2020 SS 1LE. So very fun car, no problems with it. Modified it, going to car meets with that. Met a lot of people. Yeah, you seen the videos. Like at my channel, like most of my channel is Camaro content. So from this point on, you can kind of tell where I'm going with the cars or my experience with these cars. And while I had the Camaro, bought another car to save on gas, to save on the miles of the SS1LE. Bought a 2016 because I wanted Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Ford Fiesta ST. Did it have a sunroof? Had a sunroof. It's not a lot of options. Didn't have their caros. Cloth seats. Fun car to drive. Small. Kids loved it. Only kept that car for a summer. Sold it because the value was still high. I'm normally used to buying the car and the value's tanking. I always check on my car values. So I bought it. I'm like, oh, the value is as much as what I paid for it. Let me just sell it. And I did. Didn't really have a reason to. I just did it because sometimes I just do that. And then, a little over a year after my ownership with the Camaro, I bought a 2016 Challenger Hellcat. Plumb crazy. Actually, I didn't trade it in Camaro. I just bought it alongside the Camaro Hellcat. I had to see what it was all about. Thought this car would take my channel to the next level because everybody had Hellcats, and I think that's what the problem was. Everybody had Hellcats, and then wide bodies were out too. So I had the old Hellcat. I didn't really love the car. I bought that car for YouTube. It did okay, but it wasn't worth. I couldn't justify keeping the car, and this is when the pandemic started. So I got more money than what I paid for it. I'm like, all right, let me cash in on this. Sold that car. Sold that Camaro. Bought this Mustang GT350 because I didn't have a car at the time. So the guy that was buying my cars, he bought my Hellcat and the Camaro and the Blazer, and he was going to buy this, but they were arguing over $500. So GT350, had that for about a year to date now. You've seen the videos. Took it to the track, got a couple miles on it, nothing heavy. GT350, watch the videos. Last but not least, it's the first car that I ever ordered, and it's the car to my right, your left, 2022 Camaro ZL1. So I like the Camaro so much, I bought another one, and here it is. Still not broken in yet. I can't do a full review because I don't have the assessment to really compare it, but watch the videos on that. More to come soon. So for the most part, I lose money buying and selling cars. Buying used is the best way. During the pandemic, buying new is the best way because used car prices are so high. But let me get to my top 5 cars. Alright, so my number 5 favorite car that I have on, the 2009 Pontiac G8 GT. Fun car. Can fit a family, which I really didn't have at the time. Had an infant. Just needed that manual, or that car would have been much higher on this list. And they do make a Chevy SS, which I do want. Not sure how well that would do for YouTube, so I can't really justify the business purpose. And the CT5V Blackwing, but that's a whole other story. The number 4 car on my list, E39 M5. Without the problems, I'll throw both of the 5 Series in there. The M5 is more fun, but aside from the problems, sublime cars. And if they were just reliable cars, really reliable, and now they're old too, so I can't depend on those as daily drivers, like I would love to have another one. Unfortunately for BMWs, they're like way more complex after this E39. Costs a lot to maintain. They kind of lost their way with the fun to drive. Now they're just like fast. They lost steering feel. Interested in the new M3, which would kind of be where the M5 is. We'll see though, but they're ugly. So my number 3 favorite car, the Fiesta ST. That car is very fun. The only thing, and it's not even its fault, it's front wheel drive, but it's a very fun car to drive. You can have fun going to the corner store. You can go through the gears. It has a very good shifter. It's not comfortable. I would put different dampers on there or springs, whatever makes it softer for a daily driver. But it's very fun, and it's got heated seats. I mean, sunroof. That's all I want in a fun car, really. My number 2 favorite car. Gonna make some people mad, but I don't care. It's my opinion. So the GT350. It's the opposite of the Fiesta ST. They're both really fun cars. I can't have as much fun in the Mustang as I can the Fiesta ST. It's high horsepower, high revving. It's too powerful for me to enjoy for my lifestyle at this point in my life, where I live. It's a very fun car. Took it to the track, but the reason it's not number 1 is because, well, actually, I do put that over the SS1 LE slightly, but and I don't have my full assessment on the ZL1 yet, but from my SS1 LE experience, I gotta put the ZL1 at number 1. So it's everything that car was. It just handles better, it's fast. I had torque, which is something I can't have fun with on the day-to-day. No fault of the Mustang, that's just what it is. It's high revving, this is torque. I personally prefer torque. Some runners up would be my Infiniti. It didn't make the top 5 because it was kind of like harsh. It was that car. If I had a nicer example, or the 37, it'll probably be up in there. Why is this guy back? But yeah, that's every car I've owned. Let me see how many of those. I stopped counting. Hopefully I didn't skip any. So we got 23 cars. My top 5 runners up. Infiniti G37S. The S is for saucy special. That car was good. Oh my god, I forgot my Land Cruiser somewhere in there. Oh my god, that's what I get for going off the top of my head. I had a 1994 Toyota Land Cruiser to go alongside my M5 as a daily driver, and this was the Land Cruiser 16th car on the list. So I bought that because the M5 was the first car that said I wasn't going to drive in the winter, just because of all the problems I had. If it snows and I need my windshield wipers, the traction control goes out, I'm going to hurt myself. Then I needed new tires. I'm like, how much would tires cost on this thing? Let me just buy a truck. I paid $3 grand for it. It had that thing might have had like 240 something thousand miles on it, maybe 250,000 miles. But this was my workhorse, and I got a lot of good stuff to say about the Land Cruiser. I'm not going to put it in my top 5 because it's a truck, and I don't really care for trucks like that. But it had an inline-6 engine, was silky smooth, big, roomy. And I can see why people love to off-road it. But bought the car, I just put brakes on it. It had an oil leak, but it wasn't big enough for me to worry about. It did leave pools of oil like in my driveway, which is annoying. So I just got the driveway redone, and if you look at the Audi pictures, I got like a cracked up driveway. Now I got a brand new driveway I got when I bought this house. So yeah, the Land Cruiser, good. And to rebuild the engine to not have an oil leak was like $2,500. I only paid $3 grand for the car, and it would have lasted to like 500,000 miles. So those things last. But my wife hated it. Every time I started it up and let it warm up, the fumes got inside the house. There was a lot of white smoke, but it started up every time, even in the sub-zero weather. So yeah, Land Cruiser, very good truck that I do like. So yeah, that's it for me and my cars. If you got any questions, want to know anything about any of these cars, drop a comment down below. Stay tuned. Watch out for more content with these two behind me and what's to come in the future. Who knows? I might sell this and get 2 cars. I might sell that and get 1 car. I might sell both of them and get a supercar. Who knows? Or I might just keep both. But a lot of stuff coming out. I don't know. I just make a decision like that and run with it. So, alright. Dude with the leaf blower is black. Whoa. Dude with the leaf blower is back. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. SD card filled up. Gotta delete some videos about a new SD card. Q. Thanks for dropping by. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out.